Picture this. It's a warm Texas evening. A neighborhood is just winding down for the night. And then, the absolute unthinkable happens. In this explainer, we're unpacking a case that completely gripped San Antonio back in August of 2026. It started as a frantic search and ended in a dark mystery that investigators are frankly still trying to unravel. We're going to break down the timeline, the hard evidence, and the digital footprint of an absolute tragedy.
It all comes back to this one central question. How does a 2-year-old just vanish into the night, right? I mean, how does a toddler, barely 2 years old, disappear without a single trace into the encroaching dark? It's the kind of scenario that instantly takes things from a localized neighborhood concern to a massive, citywide emergency.
Okay, so let's set the scene. It starts out completely ordinary. It's 7 p.m. on a Sunday evening. Families are finishing up dinner, getting ready for the week ahead. We're looking at the 4,000 block of Allegheny Drive. This is on the northwest side of San Antonio. It's a quiet, standard suburban street. There is literally nothing out of place. Nothing to signal that the next few hours would bring an absolute nightmare. But then, fast forward just a few hours, and that quiet street is completely transformed. It's midnight. The darkness is suddenly pierced by the chaotic red and blue flashes of police cruisers. You've got sirens wailing in the distance, search grids are forming, first responders and terrified neighbors are out there desperately scanning the brush in the alleys with flashlights. The contrast from just a few hours prior is absolutely staggering. And then, the frantic, high-speed energy of that search hits a devastating maul. The flashing lights stop moving, the radio chatter completely changes tone, because out there in the dark, a tragic discovery is made, and it entirely shifts the reality of this entire investigation.
Section 1. The Disappearance. August 2nd, 2026. We're looking at the missing child profile pulled straight from the official Texas Department of Public Safety alerts. Aryana Trevino Martinez, only 2 years old, 2 feet tall, just 25 pounds, with brown hair and brown eyes. She was last seen wearing a black top and leopard print pants. Now, this specific, heartbreaking description is exactly what anchored the frantic police search that night. And this is where she was last seen, the 4,000 block of Allegheny Drive on the northwest side of San Antonio. Like we mentioned, it's a quiet residential area. It's surrounded by homes, alleys, and these dense patches of overgrown nature. The initial theory presented to law enforcement was pretty straightforward. According to a preliminary KSAT report, relatives told police that Aryana simply wandered away from home. And in those crucial early hours, that was the primary working narrative guiding the first responders on the ground.
Section 2. The Amber Alert. A race against time.
31,698. Now, that is not just some random number. That is the official Texas Amber Alert number that was blasted to cell phones all across the state. The Texas Department of Public Safety activated this statewide alert late that Sunday night, pushing Aryana's description, her height, her weight, and those leopard pants out to literally millions of screens. The desperate hope was that someone, anyone out there in the dark, had seen her. But the hope fueling that alert, it didn't last long. The Amber Alert was officially discontinued at 3 a.m. on Monday, August 3rd. Now, in cases of missing children, an abruptly canceled alert in the dead of night usually signals one of two things: a safe recovery or a grim conclusion. And tragically for Aryana, it was the latter.
Section 3. A tragic discovery. Tracking the agonizing hours.
The sheer speed of this tragedy is, well, it's haunting. Let's look at the timeline. Aryana is last seen around 7 p.m. By 8 p.m., police are already actively implementing a search quadrant. Yet despite deploying massive resources, it takes until 12:01 a.m. for officers to find her unresponsive. That is 5 terrifying hours for a 2-year-old to be missing in the dark. And the environment where she was located paints a really harrowing picture. An SAPD investigator on the scene reported that Aryana was found in a brushy, overgrown, water-filled creek area behind a street called Belle Ellen. The water in this creek was described as shallow in some spots, but it actually gets much deeper further downstream. So we're talking about dark, incredibly difficult terrain to navigate, especially for a toddler. So the crucial point here is the distance, 500. A detective on the scene told reporters that Aryana was found approximately 500 yards away from where she disappeared on Allegheny Drive. 500 yards. To put that into perspective, that is the length of 5 football fields placed end to end.
For a 25-pound, 2-year-old child to navigate 500 yards in the pitch black through neighborhood streets and down into an overgrown creek bed, it is an incredibly vast and, frankly, baffling distance. When she was finally found, the desperation of the first responders was just palpable. According to a reporter on the scene for KABB-TV, emergency medical services were urgently performing CPR on the child before transporting her to the hospital. But despite those intense, heroic, life-saving measures in the dark, Aryana was pronounced dead shortly after, at 12:10 a.m. by the Bexar County Medical Examiner. Section 4. The surveillance footage. Clues in the dark. Now, this piece of evidence is perhaps the most chilling detail released by the San Antonio Police Department so far. An investigator stated that Aryana was actually captured on video surveillance walking alone in an alley toward the area where she was ultimately found. This footage is a massive piece of the puzzle. It essentially confirms at least a portion of the family's initial theory that she wandered off by herself. But, one grainy video isn't enough to close a case like this. The active investigation is intensely focused on 3 main things right now. They're canvassing for more neighborhood video, they're eagerly awaiting the full medical examiner's report, and crucially, they're analyzing that footage to determine if anyone else was present with Aryana that night. Section 5. Unanswered questions. Fact versus speculation. This case perfectly highlights a major dynamic we see in modern true crime. On one side, you have the verified police facts. CCTV shows her walking alone, and she was found in a shallow creek 500 yards away. But on the other side, you have rampant public speculation. Online communities immediately began debating accidental drowning versus foul play, even discussing a potential dumping spot. Now, while we definitely don't endorse these internet theories, it really illustrates how confirmed evidence is constantly weighed against intense public suspicion. But we have to pull back to the absolute truth of the moment. Right now, despite all the rumors and the online sleuthing, the official cause and manner of Aryana's death remain entirely unconfirmed. The San Antonio Police Department has not announced any arrests, they haven't identified any suspects, and they haven't officially stated whether foul play is even involved. The ultimate medical truth is still pending. Behind the timelines, the maps, and the ongoing investigations, we absolutely must remember the human element here. The loss of a 2-year-old child has sent absolute shockwaves through this community. As one person simply and powerfully put it online, "My heart breaks for her family. R.I.P. sweet girl." It is a profound tragedy that has left a city mourning the loss of a life that barely even started. Which brings us to the final, lingering question we are all left with. What really happened in the dark on Allegheny Drive? Did a tiny 2-year-old navigate 500 yards of overgrown brush entirely on her own? Or is a darker piece of the puzzle still hiding in the shadows? Until the medical examiner speaks and the final videos are thoroughly reviewed, the night Aryana Trevino Martinez vanished remains an agonizing, deeply unresolved mystery.